Hi everyone, I'd like to share with you my technique here in regards to management of a heminucleus. Here's the heminucleus here. What you're gonna have is an illustration on one side and the video on the other side. The video is not perfectly clear, but the illustration is meant to be a guide. So in this technique, it basically is meant to help in the management of a heminucleus, either a non-rotating heminucleus or it's an alternative way. Now, traditionally, you rotate the endonucleus so that it's opposite of the phacotyp. I don't do that anymore. All my cases now are with this technique. So again, it's going to be under slow motion. The first step of the technique is, as you'll see here, I'm going to pause it. We're going to first nudge the endonucleus with the chopper. We're going to nudge it towards the center, and the phacotyp will do the same thing. So here's the chopper nudging the endonucleus towards the center, and then the phacotyp will do the same thing. And the reason why we're doing this is it creates space. It moves the endonucleus more towards the center so that the chopper can wrap around. Because what the chopper is going to do is going to wrap around the endonucleus and dissect the endonucleus from the epinucleus. And so now, as illustrated here, the chopper is now underneath the endonucleus. What we're going to do next is the phacotyp, as shown, is going to move above the endonucleus. So we're going to have two instruments. We're going to have an instrument underneath the endonucleus and above the epinucleus, and we're going to have the phacotyp above the endonucleus. So you're going to see the phacotyp moving. Now, as I've said, one instrument above, one instrument below. Now, this will allow you to rotate. So the heminucleus is aligned this way naturally. Now we're going to, with the two instruments, align it vertically. And this is in a bimanual fashion. Again, now this is all on position one. This entire sequence is all on position one. And once you're done, the endonucleus is now aligned vertically. And now we're going to bring the two instruments together entirely on position one. And we're going to break. So watch the two instruments meet, and right there, they meet right there. And it's going to bisect this endonucleus. And you're going to see the crack right there. And that's the separation there. So this entire sequence here, as I said, is entirely on position one. So anytime you're only on position one, the posterior capsule is tented way back because you're not using any aspiration, you're not using any vacuum. Now this works on very, very soft cataracts, moderately sized cataracts, and it certainly works on dense cataracts as well because you're using mechanical energy. Now, because you're not using any ultrasound, it is safe to the corneal endothelium. It's an efficient method. Number two, you're not using any aspiration or ultrasound, so there's no concern in regards to surge. Again, the posterior capsule is tented far back throughout this entire case. Now, as I've said before, it's traditionally taught that you have to rotate the endonucleus all the way so that's facing the phacotyp. This technique skips that whole element. And sometimes, even if you want to use that traditional method of rotating it so it's facing the phacotyp, sometimes you just basically can't. You try to nudge the endonucleus on one side, try it on the other side, and it just won't nudge, often because there may be a sign of poor zonules. With this technique, I do think it's very zonular friendly because you're using the chopper to wrap around and dissect mechanically the endonucleus from the epinucleus. And so there is no zonular issues with this specific technique. So as I said, I've now basically used this technique for all my cases, and I do have a lot of patients with weak zonules, and I've not encountered any issues. Anytime you do a procedure on position one, I do think it is the safest because issues mainly arise from a posterior capsular standpoint when you're using vacuum or aspiration, or when you're using a lot of ultrasound in terms of the cornea. So anyways, I hope you found this to be useful, and I have more videos of the sequence in real time. This is intentionally slowed down with illustration just to make it a little bit more easier to understand, but in real time it's very quick. It's a very quick bisection of the endonucleus. Anyways, thanks for watching, and that's it for now.